Kia ora, kia ora. Few technical issues just getting set up here, guys. Okay. Kia ora, everyone. It's Zach here from Hakatime Rugby. Thanks for joining. I like to, when I start these watch-alongs, just do a little bit of a preview of the game, walk through and give my thoughts on how I think the game will go, and also just start to build this up. We're essentially 17 minutes away, so, join in. Feel free to just chill out and be part of the stream. So we will have the live chat running throughout the stream. Feel free to contribute there. You can ask me any questions throughout, and hopefully we'll have a good time today. I've got beer in hand, so I'm good to go. And this is the start of, what should be a pretty exciting tour, obviously with the Irish now joining us down here in New Zealand, and with 5 games kicking off. So Maori All Blacks is the first game, and what I want to do is jump straight into it. So let's start by looking at the team sheets. Actually, before we do that, a lot has been made, obviously, about this match and the fact that, quite an important part of this team is missing this year. So first thing I want to do before we kick off is just acknowledge Sean Wainui and his contribution that he's made to the Maori All Blacks and to rugby in general. He was a really liked person in rugby circles, a strong Maori man, and sorely missed by many of us. So, it's been 5 or 6 years since we've, he's been part of the Maori makeup, and not having him here, incredibly sad. But I just want to shout out that obviously our thoughts are with him and his family at this time as we remember his contribution and everything that he did, for our team. So, coming back to the team itself, let us bring this up. I want to start by previewing the game. We're now 15 minutes before kickoff. And I want to start by just going through the squad. So you may or may not have seen my build-up video. Basically what I'll do is use this time to go through this in more detail in terms of my thoughts on how the game will be played and what the likely outcomes will be. And I'll also give my prediction on who I think will actually win this game. So kicking things off with the forwards. So you can see here we've got, if I just look at the front row, Ollie Norris, Kurt Eklund, Tyrell Lomax. So in that, I think Tyrell Lomax, obviously an All Black, recent All Black, so someone who I think can have a real impact on this game. When I look at some of the other participants here, so Ollie Norris is a fringe All Black. He's had a fantastic season this year, and there's been talk about him as part of the All Blacks, if not soon, then certainly in the future. So looking forward to seeing how he goes. He'll bring real mobility around the track, as will Kurt Eklund. So Kurt Eklund's had a fantastic year this year, and I think there's a real opportunity for him to stamp his mark on this game. When I look at the Irish front row, Tom O'Toole is a great scrummager. So I'm expecting, as is Dave Heffernan as well, great contributor. So I'm expecting that this will be certainly competitive in terms of the scrums themselves. I think Ireland probably has the edge when it comes to set piece time and when it comes to the scrum. But mobility around the track, I give the edge there to the Maori. From a second row perspective, looking forward to Joe McCarthy. He has been a player that a lot of people have big raps on in playing out of Leinster there. So he'll bring, as much of these European teams do, they'll bring real experience in the lineouts, solid in the lineouts, and physical around the track. On the other side, Josh Dixon, great lineout exponent. Isaiah Walker-Leawere, physical, big human being. So I'm expecting them to bring a lot of the physicality from the Maori perspective into this match. And I think from a lineout perspective as well, I do give the edge slightly to the Irish. I think the Maori can be very, very competitive here, especially when we look at the back row. So Cullen Grace, for those who saw the Super Rugby final, had a fantastic Super Rugby final, was a real, weapon in terms of the lineouts. And I think he brings that ability. He's super tall, very physical. So I think he's going to sort of even the lineouts up a little bit. I still give the edge to Ireland in terms of the lineout, but I think Maori can be competitive and at least hold their own come line-out time. The back row in particular, though, we have to give the Irish the nod in terms of the breakdown. So these guys are breakdown specialists. I expect that they will, really try to apply pressure at breakdown time. So that's going to be an area that the Maori really need to work on and try and neutralise if they want to be competitive in this match. So when we look at the forward pack, we give mobility the edge to Maori. We give scrum slight edge to Ireland. Line out, slight edge to Ireland, although I think that'll be pretty close. And we also give the breakdown the edge to Ireland. But I give mobility and X factor to Maori. I think there's a few players here that could very easily open up the Irish here. So that's how I've assessed the forwards. Let me know what you guys think as I run through this as well. Now, to the backs, a lot has been made about Brad Weber's inclusion, both Brad Weber and TJ Perenara, obviously co-captains there. So there's going to be that ability to run the team for a full 80 minutes, which is great. On the Maori side, a couple of key players of note. So Josh Ioane, I thought, had resurgent form this year, and it's going to be great to see how he goes in this game. He has fallen out of favour a little bit in terms of All Black selections, and others have been put in front of him. But he is a player who is highly experienced at both, having experience at the top level, as well as extensive good form there at club level as well. So he's a player that could stamp his mark here. Other players, Sean Stevenson is a great, really, really good, fast, tall, strong winger. So he should have a good game here. Zahn Sullivan, I'm looking forward to seeing him in action. And obviously he brings his height, speed, ability to kick the ball. So, I look at this backline for the Māori and I think, solid. It's a solid looking backline with enough X factor in here to trouble the Irish. Conversely, when I look at the Irish side, I think experience. So, certainly a lot more experience here than in the case of the Māori. So Bundyaki, highly experienced inside centre. Jordan Lama, Keith Earls, both have experience, for the Irish top team. Kiwi fans will have seen them. And then you've got a bit of excitement with the likes of Kieran Frawley. So he's one player that a lot of people are talking about. And I think he's one player that could really stamp his mark on this game and brings a real X factor. So a couple of the key outcomes I'm looking for in the back line. I think in terms of game management, I'd give the edge to Ireland. In terms of X factor, I think it's probably split. Either team could have a real impact on this game in terms of their X factor. We could see Kieran Frawley absolutely dominate with both running and kicking game. We could see Josh Ioane dominate with running and kicking game. Anything else to highlight here? I think so Ireland will typically play fast rugby and do expose teams with the ball in the air. So if we look at the ability to neutralise and manage the kicking, I think the Māori have the slight edge here. I mean, we've got a couple of really tall examples here in Sean Stevenson and Zahn Sullivan. So they're going to be good under the high ball. I think they're going to be good in both attack and defence with the high ball. So I give that edge, the potential kicking edge, the ability to neutralise and dominate, with the high ball. I give that edge to Māori here. In terms of the X factor, I have it split. So it could be Josh Ioane, could be Kieran Frawley. That one's hard to pick. Now to the bench. We've spoken about TJ Perenara. There is some real X factor here for the Māori. So Tamaiti Williams, I've spoken about him in the past in other videos, but he's a 140 kg plus unit. He recently in the Super Rugby final was able to show up some All Blacks in terms of the scrums and, late in that game. So you can expect big things from him. If there are issues with the scrum, maybe he comes in and provides a bit of stability there. But he also has a real power running game that I'm expecting to be of use here. Other players here, Ruben Love is someone we need to highlight. So dynamic, young half, quick with ball in hand. And he could be a game breaker late in this game as well if it is close, both with ball in hand and with the boot. On the other side, in terms of Ireland, there is a lot of experience here. Cian Healy has British and Irish Lions experience. He has Irish top team experience. He's been around for a very, very long time. I think there are a few players that were part of that 2010 tour of New Zealand, and he is one of them. The last time the Irish toured here, so wealth of experience at the top level. Jack Conan started in the game, as did Connor Murray, and Joey Carberry was also involved in the game last year between the All Blacks and Ireland. So obviously these guys have had success against the All Blacks, and I think that's a real factor that they will bring to this game. So we probably give the edge in terms of X factor. I give it slightly to Maori, but the edge in terms of experience is clearly here in the Irish favour. So that's how I currently see, a lot of the major factors here on this game. But there are, and I'm going to give a prediction very soon on who I think will win. But there are a couple of other factors that we need to consider here. We need to consider the hometown advantage factor. I really think that is going to be quite an important factor going into this game. It's a good crowd here. Ireland are away from home. Maori are playing at home. I think that's going to give them a real advantage. The other thing I do want to touch on, and a number of Clayton McMillan actually before the game and the build-up touched on this, is, Sean Wainui was a big part of the squad, and they've reflected on his contribution in the Maori jersey and what he really brought to that. And I think there is going to be, a real level of fight driven from these players to rise to the expectations that Shawnee set previously in the jersey. So I think in terms of passion, there's some real advantages here for the Maori, and I think they're going to utilize that to be very competitive and and super physical in this game. So that's how I currently see it in terms of all the major factors. In terms of how I think that plays out in the game, I think it goes like this. I think my view of this game is Maori have the edge in passion. I'm watching the national anthems now, and you can really see TJ Perenara's, he's got his eyes closed, he's got his, fist clenched across his chest. He's really meaning business here. So I think, and some of these players are crying, so there's a lot of passion here for the Maori. I think they're going to be using that passion to start fast. As I mentioned, there is certainly some X factor in this team, so I think they probably put points on early when I look at some of these factors. I could very easily see the Maori putting some physical pressure on, first 20 minutes, maybe coming away with a penalty, maybe a try, maybe sort of blowing out to a very quick early lead. But then you've got the game management and the experience of the Irish. And I expect that to tell when we get to the second half of the first half, and when we get into the first half of the second half as well. And they can wheel the changes. And so, it's going to be competitive all the way to the finish. And I just wonder if this is going to come down to game breakers at the very, very end. We spoke about the passion that the Maori have. They're showing it here in the national anthems. We've spoken about the contribution of Sean Wainui. I think they really use a lot of those factors to drive them towards potentially winning this game. So my final prediction on this one is I think it's super close. It's going to go down to the wire, and it's going to go either way depending on who can actually close these games out at the end and who has the X factor. I give the edge to the Maori because I think they've got a lot to play for here. But as I mentioned, almost every factor here, I put in favour of the Irish. So the scrum, in terms of the set piece, they certainly have the stronger scrum, although I think there is enough in the Maori squad to nullify some of the impacts. They have the better line out. Again, with the inclusion of Cullen Grace, there is enough here to to compete in the line out. They have the edge at the breakdown, but there's enough physicality in the Maori lineup that they may be able to disrupt the breakdown. And then in terms of X factor in the forwards, I give the edge to the Maori because I think there's a lot more mobility there in that tight five, as well as some of these players in the front row. Really touching moment here. Bundy Arki, captain of the Irish team, presenting a jersey, number 11. So again, back to in reference of Sean Wainui. So really nice touch there from Bundy and the Irish team. Now, game management. The Hucker's about to start, by the way, guys. So if you're not tuning in, I recommend you do. I'll just continue going through the key factors and how I saw it. So experience, definitely Ireland. Game management, I give that in favour of Ireland. X factor, as I mentioned, I give that in favour of Maori. They have a number of game breakers here, as well as that real wave of passion in terms of playing for their people, representing, strong Maori men that have worn the jersey like Sean Wainui, and playing at home. So, with all that said, a lot of factors in Irish favour, but I just think that passion might get the Māori home and that X Factor game breaker, with a number of game breakers. So, the boys are just kicking off with the haka. That's going down. Who do you guys think is going to win this game? Mako thinks mana Māoris. Sure. I give the slight edge to the Māori. I think that they start fast, possibly get out to a 10-point lead in the first 20 minutes, just in that wave of emotion. Sam not giving it all in the haka here, I can see. But there is too much experience and too much game management and too much X factor in the Irish team that I think they will certainly, if they do get out to find themselves behind early or relatively early, they'll be able to pull themselves back in, no problems. And then I think it comes down to who has got the ability towards the end to break the game open in terms of X factor. We've been waiting for this series, guys. It's about to kick off. I'm super excited. I honestly cannot wait for this. Oh, there's Sean Wainui's kids and wife going to accept the jersey that Bundy laid before them. So, really nice moment from the Irish. Really touching moment. Well, the boys definitely mean business. I mean, they gave it a lot in the haka here. And they definitely mean business. Nice moment. Awesome stuff. So Sean Wainui's wife accepts the jersey. The boys waiting to get things started. Beautiful moment. All right, let's do this. Ball is on the field. It's about to go down. What I generally do with these kinds of watch-along guys is I'll just speak to my observations as the game is progressing. You will have the scoreboard up here, which I'll maintain the scoreboard, so you'll see where we're at in the game at any point in time. We can have a chat, so just drop some comments. Just on the comment box, we had some real spammers last time, so I've limited to subscribers of any length. So if you subscribe now, you can comment, and I've also just slowed it down, so it's a 30-second slow mode on there. But get involved in the chat. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this game and where we're at. Game on. Okay, kickoff now. Māori take the ball on the 22. Taken in by Billy Proctor. Cullen Grace hits it up. First sign of attack at the breakdown there. I'm really keeping a close eye on the breakdown. That was Nick Timoni. And Māori clear out of trouble. Doesn't find touch. So Ireland will have attack first up in the Māori territory. They're just in front of the 40-metre line here. Yeah, great structure already showing from the Irish. This is what they've done so well over many years, is just really good structure, and quick ball recycling at the breakdown. Very well drilled. Oh, ball is knocked on. So, interesting. Tyrell Lomax dominates in the collision there. Is able to turn the ball over. It looks like Tom O'Toole. Well, it looks like we've got an HIA here. Jeremy Luffman. So will they look at this in terms of potential foul play? So also it was James Hume who was able to break the line there. So encouraging start on both sides, really. It looks like Jeremy Luffman is going off HIA head assessment, I would say. So one thing that does do, or at least potentially nullify, it brings on Cian Healy early. And he's running out now by the looks of it. Yep. It potentially nullifies their ability to make changes later in the game. It's a real shame so early in the game for Luffman to be, taken off. But let's see, he may pass his HIA and be back in the game. But it is some disruption in terms of the planned rotation for the Irish. 1 minute into the tour and man down. That's right. This is going to be a physical contest. I mean, both the Maori and the All Blacks understand that Ireland has had success against the All Blacks based on their physicality. So this is as much a challenge up front as it is, with everything else. Maori really strong in the scrum there. Good defence there from Bundyaki. Knocks the ball on. Yeah, there's a lot of passion in this game. So there's just a bit of fisticuffs and the players are, pushing each other. I think what we're seeing here is that no one is taking a backward step. Okay, so if there are any question marks or if players are, this is getting feisty already, which is, I'm getting excited. Okay, Kieran Frawley threw the ball pushed Sullivan a little bit. He throws the ball. It's just nothing. But I think what it shows is intent from both teams. There's no one taking a backward step here, which is great to see. I mean, yes, but back to what I was saying. I think the All Blacks, or at least the success that the Irish have had in recent years over the All Blacks, has been built on physicality up front, ability to dominate the breakdown, and then just being very, very well drilled in the back line, both attack and defence. Structures are great. They attack at speed. The breakdown recycling is quick. So we saw glimpses of that in the first couple of minutes here, but we've also seen the Maori try to dominate in key physical areas, and I think that's what they're trying to do. Is lost the physical battle in previous games. It's time to try and muscle up and win the physical battle here. Ireland win a scrum penalty. So, I did highlight that the scrum was a definite advantage to Ireland, and we're seeing that now. Especially with Cian Healy now on the field, that probably improves things. But it's early. And as I mentioned, there's, the rotation is potentially disrupted here for the Irish as well. So, but that's a great scrum penalty win for the Irish. We were expecting that they would dominate, or at least be the stronger of the two scrums. And we can see that they are definitely improved with a fresh Cian Healy on early in this game. And I'm pretty sure that's where the scrum penalty was won. Yes, it was. All right, so Kieran Frawley has a kick at goal. It's saying it's 44 metres on the angle. Yeah, set piece always strong with international teams, but I mean this is a good forward pack for the Maori. So I think they can get some parity in the scrum, but I definitely favour the Irish scrum overall. So Ireland up 3-0. Good kick. A little bit of rain coming through, so that will probably play a factor. It will definitely limit a bit of the attacking ability of both teams. So ball restarted. Ireland take it comfortably. Recycle the ball on the 22. Just playing phase out rugby. So good start from Ireland. Well, encouraging start from both teams, I think. The areas that we're expecting. So the Maori have the ball now in attacking set, have gone in strong into contact there through Cullen Grace. Blindside trip here. Makes the break, Sean Stevenson, and gets a penalty. So playing advantage, Maori attacking hard. It's a good question. From LB, why do they do these tours in the wettest part of the year? Why is rugby a winter sport? Okay, giving away another penalty here. So Bundyaki gives away the penalty. It's right in front of the sticks. They'll take the 3, get themselves back in the game, I expect. So, it was actually Brad Webber's decision to go blindside there from the ruck, which led to the gap. So, him starting to bring his All Blacks experience to the table, having an impact on this match. Oh, they turned down the... Okay, original penalty position. Yeah, taking the 3. So Josh Ioanu's lining up the kick. So, what was I saying? So yes, it's encouraging start from both teams, but that break was brought about by Brad Webber's decision to go blind. So I think that's All Blacks experience being shown there. And they'll take the 3. So, I mean, we're 6 minutes in, and it's playing out essentially how we thought. I mean, Ireland have the stronger scrum. They've been able to recycle the ball pretty well in attack. They have, they're showing their great structure in attack. There was a couple of attacks there through, obviously preset moves, running through 3-2-3 pods, and able to get on the outside of the defence. Conversely, it was really Brad Webber decision-making which led to the break in the line. And X factor from Sean Stevenson. But both teams are competing physically here to try and gain some ascendancy, and no one really has the edge at this point. It's still very early, but that is an area that the Maori and the All Blacks have spoken about trying to dominate, is win the physical battle. So I'm not surprised to see them really fire up in this game. Okay, ball is restarted. And Connor Garden Batship makes a mini break. Gets the Maori across the halfway line. Okay, backdoor play. Oh, ball is open there. And Sean Stevenson has some wide open space. Kicks into Irish territory. Yeah, smart play. So smart, well-managed play. So the Maori will get a line out in Irish territory around the 30-35 metre. What they did well there was take the ball into contact, spread it wide, look at the backdoor play to gain an advantage, get a break on the outside, and Māori have won the line out and are attacking through centre field. And just cycling through the phases, nothing special at this stage. Nothing really to speak of at this stage, just kind of cycling through the phases. Māori still in attack. Okay, interesting. So Zahn Sullivan puts the ball through on attack. So the Māori were attacking on the 40-metre line. Zahn Sullivan puts the ball through, and it's Irish ball on their own 22. Interesting choice there. Obviously trying to put pressure inside the 22 and, game manage, but I thought they could have used the ball a bit more there. I just want to see if that becomes a trend, then that's obviously a planned tactic, likely to to manage territory, obviously, to potentially turn the Irish team around, and maybe even to avoid too many disruptions at the breakdown. But let's just see if there is a trend in that approach. There may not be. I've just sort of mentally noted that one as an interesting decision at that point of attack from Zahn Sullivan. I thought he could have used the ball a bit more rather than just sort of give it away. And All Blacks and Maori All Blacks teams would typically do that. Would typically use the ball rather than just give it away so easily. Okay, Irish line out and Maori turn one. So, Maori ball on the 22. Great work there from, that looked like Josh Dixon. Maori attacking on the 22, not really gaining any kind of advantage, so they're going to be looking for game breakers to try and improve things, I would say. And they've got Zahn Sullivan running up, attack in the middle. Oh, forward pass. That's forward pass. So really good defence from the Irish here. There's no gaps across the field. Maori finding it hard to make a break in that set of phases. Good defence ultimately. I think it might be an area the Maori could have success is if they look to use the kick a little bit more. So, they made one early concession where they kicked the ball through on attack around the 22. They weren't getting any ascendancy in the attack there, so might have been a better option just to kick it in behind. Comment from LB, it's very disappointing to see. I agree. It's very disappointing to see seats empty. It's this is a historic tour, right? So we should see the public getting in behind it, but it has been a trend of people not really wanting to attend live rugby as much these days. And it's raining, so maybe that's a factor. All right, another scrum. Yeah, Ireland's solid scrum. Maori defense probably giving a little bit too much space here. I'd like to see them. Another knock on from the Irish, so I think there is a... Look, obviously this is first of a five-game series, and, players are sort of just recently stepped off the plane, and it's a new environment, and this is a new team that hasn't really played together, so maybe there are some early continuity issues. These things don't typically last, so it could just be an early sort of adjustment players are making to each other. All right, so who has the ball here? Maori just cycling it through the hands. There's nothing... Probably lacking a bit of game management here at the moment. They need someone to take a bit more control here, I would say. Let's see. So, it looks like Maori have the ball and get a penalty inside their own half. Let's see. Just taking a look at stats to see if there is anything here. So the Maori have had a lot of possession. Maybe I'll just bring this up. You can see here the Maori have had a lot of possession. Let's adjust this so it's a bit more visible. Knock on. It's a bit of a scrappy game so far. Let's just get an adjustment here. So you can see possession stats in favour of Maori. Knock on from the line out there. So they really should be trying to use, as much of that ball as they can to try and press an advantage while you have the ball. Okay, good to see Luffman back on. So, not kept off for too long. Must have passed his head assessment, obviously, and back into the game. What I'll do regularly throughout this, guys, is just I'll briefly check the stats from time to time. We'll determine if there's anything telling there in terms of the stats. I mean, the notable thing here is possession stats in favour of the Maori. Sorry about that. Okay, so another scrum. Some early pushing here, so it looks like that's where you see early pushing like that in the scrum. It's normally a sign that teams, are thinking these are super competitive scrums and are trying to get that early advantage, maybe an early hit or just early body position. So I think that might be more telling in the case of the Maori that they might be feeling some pressure at scrum time, which is not unexpected. It's just 14 minutes into the game, so it's early. Okay, blindside raid from Ireland out of the scrum. Ball goes downfield, is fielded by Zahn Sullivan. Oh, that's amazing work from Zahn Sullivan. Gets 65, 70 metres, drills it into the corner, and Irish 5 metres from their own line. So look at that, he's standing 15 to 5. Yeah, 60 metres. 60 metre kick for touch. And it'll be an Irish line out, but New Zealand has stolen one of the line outs of the Irish, so sorry, it's 50-22, that's right. So it's Māori ball. Now, will they try and... Kurt Eklund has a knack for scoring tries from here, so will they try and muscle up? Looks like it was dragged down there. What's the call there from the ref? Looked like the ball... Looked like the maul was dragged down there. Still on his feet. Yeah, it's all tight stuff. And the penalty for the Māori. They're keeping it in tight. 5 metres from the line. Attacking wide now. Oh, nice little short ball. He's 1 metre from the line is Billy Harmon. They get it wide again. Zahn Sullivan is in. Try Zahn Sullivan. Well done. So, he deserves that try. I mean, he was the one who drilled the kick to put the Māori in a fantastic position 5 metres from the line. They attacked. They weren't getting a lot through in the forwards. But obviously all that possession and given, the focal point for the attack was right in the centre of the field, led to gaps out wider. But good to see a reward for, a great outcome with the kick and staying involved from Zahn Sullivan. He was one player that I identified as a potential game breaker in this. And certainly from an X Factor perspective, bringing that to the table. And this is a period, as I mentioned before, that, when we look at the stats, the team stats, the Māori are dominating possession. So if I come back here, you can see here 63% possession to the Māori All Blacks. These stats tend to level up, right? So it's great that you're scoring points while you have the ball and while you have territory and possession in your favour. But to score that try, remember, they still had to drill a 50-22, right? Which is a difficult task from 60 metres out, which put the Irish 5 metres from their own line. And then Zahn Sullivan got the reward for, for just sort of being in and around and staying with a high work rate. So these things tend to level out. Ryan says Ireland need the ball. I completely agree. I think what we're seeing is a weight of possession on one side leading to that well, the current scoreline is probably reflective of possession and territory right now. All right, Ireland have the ball. They're 40 metres. Okay, we see a small break here. Ireland's hot on attack. So this is the style of play that we've become used to somewhat with the Irish. So I'll clarify what I mean by that shortly in the next break of play. Okay, so what I mean by that is we know that they recycle the ball quickly. We know that Ireland is very well drilled, and we know that that there's just really good continuity in the backline. It looks like they're just extremely well drilled. They know where they need to be, and they execute set plays really, really well. And we're seeing that they're attacking at pace, and when the ball is sticking, they're getting outcomes on that. They're able to break the line. So that's something the Maori will need to focus on. And the only way you can do that is to disrupt the breakdown, which they're not currently doing. Okay, it is Maori scrum. 5 metres from their own line. Cullen Grace takes it off the back. Good run. Able to get slight front foot ball. They continue running through the forwards. Still 5 metres out, so you expect the ball to go back. Yep, Zahn Sullivan kicks it out. So Ireland line out. The Māori 22. Just take another sip of the beer there. All right, so it is Irish 20 line out on the Māori 22. They'll have an attacking option here. Okay, ball comes down. Ireland hot on attack. Bundyaki makes the break, and he's in. Slides in, no problem. Easy set-piece try. Just, again, Ireland being extremely well drilled, just, showing what they can do when they do have the ball. So, it's danger signs to a degree for the Māori. I know it's 8-8 and only 20 metres in, but, Ireland are almost breaking through a little bit too easy, I'd say, if you're a Māori supporter. And I think that is... the Māori should be looking to play territory and possession. That was sort of what was doing it for them early. What was great there was the little offload for that try. And I think it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick Timoni. Couple of Samoan Irishmen in the crowd there. Looks like Bundy's family. That's awesome. Probably the biggest leprechaun you've ever seen is a Samoan leprechaun. Or a Samoan dressed as a leprechaun. Good try there from the captain. I mean, this is also a homecoming for Bundyaki, right? So, South Auckland man, playing back in New Zealand, gets the honour of captaining the Irish for this game, and scores a try. So, well done to him. Family and friends in the crowd. Look at how well drilled the Irish are. I mean, that was they turned the possession over there, but, they just seem to constantly be threatening the attack. The only issue they have at the moment is keeping the ball in hand and not, too many errors right now in the first 20 minutes. But they do have a lead. It's 10-8. They do have a lead. Actually, it reminds me, I should update. I should update my score. Okay, scores updated. 8-10 Ireland. Good inside. So they're looking for... Māori are attacking in and around the ruck, which is quite interesting. They must see some opportunities there. Okay, spreading the ball wide. Maori attacking on the RS22 for those that aren't seeing the game. Missed pass here and kicked through by the Irish, but it's a penalty to the Maori for offside. So that's one of the challenges with the rush defense, obviously. If you are rushing out of the line, you potentially get the timing wrong, and it leads to a penalty like that. Brad Weber, hands on hips, 20 minutes in. You alright, bro? Alright, so Māori looking to retake the lead here. South Auckland supporting Ireland this month. Look, he's a South Auckland boy, so he's going to have plenty of support, Bundy. Obviously, this is, a return home for him, so plenty of family. We've all got family that would be willing to support us, I guess. Well, you would hope so. So Josh Ioane lining up the penalty. Let's see if the stats give us any information. Possession stats still in favour of Māori. If I just bring this up while we're waiting for this kick. So that's a reflection of possession stats. So here are the possession stats, it's still 65-35. Although Ireland's done well to keep the score close with those possession stats, lopsided. That's a possession stat. Looks like Josh Ioane misses the kick. That's a terrible kick at goal. Turnovers conceded. Okay, not a huge amount. Defence will be the converse of that. So Ireland having to make a significant amount of additional tackles now. That could be telling later in the game. I mean, it is a relatively young squad for the Irish, so, they'll be super fit and no doubts in terms of their ability to maintain the pace for, full 80. But if that gets maintained as a lopsided stat, it can sometimes affect the attack and other areas of the game as well if players are having to do a significant amount of tackling. We haven't seen the impact or any differences at the breakdown at this point. Yeah, nothing to speak of there. So I think what we're seeing in terms of the stats is just a weight of possession. Another penalty for the Māori. So is that another offside penalty? And they're attacking on the 40-metre line. Brad Weber stays open, goes backdoor, plays on, Sullivan drops it, so that will be a penalty advantage is played, 40-metre line. Hands letting both teams down at the moment. Yeah, hands in the ruck. So Bundyaki was off his feet, playing at the ball, not in a good position. And it leads to a penalty. So starting to see a little bit lopsided in the penalty count. 4-1 in favour of Māori. Ireland have conceded 4 now. Let's see. So, penalty's about to go up. Josh Ioane, 40 metres out, 42 metres out. And he gets that one. So, Māori take the lead. So the ball's being restarted. And the Irish putting pressure at the breakdown there. Māori still have the ball. Zahn Sullivan clears. That's a really good clearance. He clears that from... Okay, quick retake there from the Irish. So they've throwing the ball early. Kieran Frawley gets a bit of time and space, so he puts the ball up high. Zahn Sullivan too tall. So this was a factor that I identified before the game, that if Ireland does look to play attacking, sort of boot to ball type rugby, and Josh Ioane's made a break. He is going to offload here for Sean Stevenson. Gets outside the man. Maori try. So that's an example of turnover ball leading to quick attack from the Maori. That's a classic, typical New Zealand try is how I would describe that. One area I think Ireland need to be careful of is to try and challenge the Maori in the air. Zahn Sullivan is almost 2 metres tall. So you can see that when the ball went up, Sullivan takes the ball. The Maori are on the front foot. They spread it wide. Josh Ioane sees the opening. He's one-on-one with Bundyaki and has him for pace. Beats Bundyaki. And then gets the ball wide to Sean Stevenson. So it's a lot of the factors that we identified at the start. Its ability to defend the high ball. Its X factor in the Maori backline. And obviously they're playing with passion here. So that's a typical classic New Zealand try, that one. So what Ireland would probably want to do less, I think, is attack with the ball up in the air. Notably, that was the first opportunity that Kieran Frawley had to, with time and space. So it was off a quick throw in from the line out. Kieran Frawley had the ball with time and space, and he elected to kick at that point. I would have liked to see him run at that point. Brilliant try. Ireland's kick chase caused them problems for both tries. That's true. I just think with this Maori team, they've got Sean Stevenson on the wing, they've got Zahn Sullivan on the other wing, and they've got Garden Bishop, who typically plays fullback. So these are two tall, winger and fullback, and one, outright fullback. So they're designed to diffuse the high ball. And I think if you kick the ball to this team, then you potentially pay the price like the Irish did there. Let's update this scoreboard. So potentially a high-scoring game here. 18-10 to Maori. One interesting, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, but if the possession stats are so lopsided, I would expect teams to kick probably less than more, and we're seeing a lot of kicking from the Irish in this game. So very difficult to return or to to improve on the possession stats if your tactic is to kick the ball away. Although they're obviously looking to play. Okay, so the possession stats have actually continued to favour the Maori and have actually gone further in their favour. 76% possession and 67% territory in favour of Maori. So they win the line out there and attacking the ball through the middle. And kicking for touch, Zahn Sullivan. Not out. Off the back of an Irish player. And now attacking with ball in hand. Ireland have the ball and possession on the halfway line. Okay, success up the middle here. So Ireland make a small break through the ruck and are able to gain 10-15 metres. Maori trying to counter-ruck. And they've won the ball off a counter-ruck. That's interesting. So okay, Maori get the outside break from Sean Stephens, who chips over the top. Ball is loose and knock on Maori. Brad Weber is looks like he's either appealing for a penalty or taking a knock to the head. So really interesting here. It's Maori are finding real success out wide. Double knock on. Let's see off Weber first. Oh, and a kick to the head. Ooh, that might be pulled up for foul play. That one is a pretty clean boot to the head. No, play on. That's why he wasn't appealing for a penalty or anything like that. He wasn't milking one. He was just kicked in the head. Both nines got kicked in the back of the head. I didn't see the Irish nine get kicked, but yeah, it was definitely a clean boot to the face, to the jaw on Brad Weber. Scrum, Ireland ball on their own 22. So territory gain favouring Maori here. Breakdown stats. Okay, looks like a bit of disruption at the scrum. Maori now have the line out by the looks of it. Ooh, they won the hit there and they got a bit of ascendancy there, the Maori in the scrum, so starting to gain momentum. I think that's a sign of confidence more than anything. I think that they are playing with real confidence right now and as a result starting to win some of these effort areas. That kick again to Zahn Sullivan. And a penalty. Not rolling away, so laying on the ball. Okay, so over the top here. Yeah, player not rolling. It's a bit harsh, that one. He's trying to roll away. I don't think that warranted a penalty, if I'm honest with you. But that penalty was in favour of Maori. They're now attacking line out on the Irish 22 and a free kick. And Maori hot on attack here. 5 metres out. Really looking to press the advantage here. Get the outside ball into, looks like Proctor. Attacking through Tyra Lomax now in midfield. Josh Dixon gets the ball out. Slight break here for Poihipi. And Brad Weber gets the try. And look at that. Brad Weber gets the try. Surrounded by reserve players who are standing in the end goal. Māori are fired up. So what we're starting to see now is a number of effort areas being won by the Māori. And I think it's a combination of, we saw them win the scrum battle there. We saw them, put the Irish defence under pressure at the breakdown, conceding a try, not rolling away. We're now seeing them start to win collision. These are signs where the weight of confidence is going in favour of the Māori. Obviously, there's a lot of passion that they're playing with here. And also, they're playing with... it's also the weight of possession. So, if you recall earlier, I identified... Let's jump to it. This is probably where I would see the biggest concern for the Irish right now. Let's jump to this view. We probably need to refresh the stats. So, we got good numbers... Let's go to defense. 54 tackles to 9 tackles. Okay, so the possession now is starting to have an impact on the Irish ability to win number of effort areas. So look at the lopsidedness of the tackles here. It's starting to really weight heavily in favour of Māori. Irish are putting in a lot of effort in tackles, and you weight that with the confidence that the Māori are building, passion that they're playing with, and now they're starting to show and win effort areas. I need to update the score. Thanks for the reminder, Yoshi. So actual score is 25. It's 25-10. Johan's joined the building. What's up, bro? Welcome. Good kick return from Zahn Sullivan. So Yoshi asks, what's the score? It's 25-10 in favour of Maori. Johan says, I think the problem with Ireland is their defence, discipline, and also they don't kick contestable high kicks, which means they give the ABs the chance to counter-attack. There was a counter-attack off the high ball, and I think that's an area that I'd be wary of with the Irish attacking the Māori. Is you've got Zahn Sullivan at fullback, who's almost 2 metres, Sean Stevenson, who I think is 1.9, and you've got on one wing, and Connor Garden Basham on the other wing, who is a full-time fullback. So I think attacking with the high ball is going to be a real issue for if Ireland continue to do that. There was a try scored off the high ball because Zahn Sullivan was able to defuse it very easily, get the ball out wide, and attack to the wings. So I'd be doing less of that if I were the Irish. And we got our friend old Scammy back. But this is what I would highlight, is that I would highlight that the weight of tackling is starting to play itself out, starting to tire the Irish slightly, and it's resulting in the Māori winning key effort areas, like turning the scrum earlier, like contesting at the breakdown and winning the penalties there. But one thing the Irish do well is they attack, they're very well-drilled attack with ball in hand. So I think if they can keep the ball, if they can just turn the possession stats, they can start to get themselves back in this game. They're also making too many errors. Agree with everything you're saying there, Johan. So a lot of what I'm talking about is simply the weight of possession that is starting to play itself out in other effort areas. So when you do dominate by current possession stats starting to even up a little bit, when you do have a significant amount of additional ball, and when the other team is making a lot more tackles, then we start to see changes in the effort areas. Bundy made a business decision, Johan. And you can never knock a man for for wanting to provide for their family. I think and wanting to get the best outcome for himself. Okay, scrum. Māori ball on their own 22. Solid scrum. Ball's out. So another area they're having a lot of success is on that right wing. So defensively, there's some issues there for the Irish. And ball charge down, Māori possession. Looks like breakdown, ball is out. Bit scrappy here. Ollie Norris with ball in hand. Māori attacking inside the Irish territory. Not really making any impact here. Player is held up. Looks like he makes it to ground and not held. So Māori still have the ball, but Ireland's starting to put a lot more pressure on at the breakdown. And they're starting to pin the Māori back in defence. This is a great way that Ireland can come back into this game, is start really attacking in defence. Because you can see there's a bit of disruption now. The Māori are starting to lose their way, losing territory back into their own in goal. Okay, so Sean Stevenson makes another break. How many running meters has this guy got? And draws him past, not a clean pass. Ball inside, Cullen Grace. Another try to Māori. Another try to Māori. They're really turning it on now. Cullen Grace. Look, I think a lot's going to be made of this game and how the Irish have played. Yeah, Sean Stevenson. How many meters has he made in this game? Let's have a look. Player stats. Sean Stevenson's dominating here. Doesn't really give me running meters, unfortunately. I'd say he's up around 150, 200. Playing really well. It was a real disruptive play here. The ball wasn't clean, came up the back. Yoshi says, I feel Ireland can come back. Now 20, going on potentially 22 points down. Look, they can definitely come back. They need to be the next to score. Good teams we know score just before halftime or just after halftime, but they've got to claw back more than 3 tries now at this point. So I definitely won't say they're out of it, but they need to be the next to score and they need to start. I think the bigger concern here is that they're not winning key areas of the game. Sean Stevenson, LB says Sean Stevenson should have made the ABs. He's always been hot on attack. He is just dominating on the right wing here, so he's getting all sorts of breaks. Okay, so at halftime, guys, we're 32-10. A couple of comments coming through around Ireland can come back. Do I think they can come back? Tough hill to climb here. They need to actually show us something. Because at the moment they're losing the possession stats. That's giving Maori confidence. They've tackled a heck of a lot more, which means, it just compounds issues when you're doing a lot more defense. It means that when you're doing a lot more defense, you start to get impacted in effort areas like the scrum, like the line out, like contact areas at the breakdown, start to drop off tackles. I actually think the biggest talking point of this game, when I look at the match stats, let me just refresh and bring them up. So you can see here, possession has started to even out, okay, 55-44. But in terms of quality of possession, do we have the territory stats here? No. In terms of territory, I would say that, Māori are playing a lot more in Irish territory. But this number here, look at this. 59 tackles to 9 tackles. That's where I think this match is being won by the Māori. I think that, when you look at their confidence, when you look at their ability to keep the ball in hand for the most part and play territory, and when you look at an Irish defence that, is putting a lot more effort in than the Māori are, these start to play themselves out in other areas of the field. So this is a reward. This is how possession stats can reward a team, I guess is what I want to say there. Yoshi says Ireland can come back. They need to turn some of these stats if they want to come back. So the first thing I would say they need to do is keep the ball in hand. And if you're going to kick the ball out, if you're going to kick the ball into touch, and keep the ball in play through kicking, stay away from the high ball kick to the back three of the Māori, because I said this before the game in my analysis that I feel like, Māori they've stacked themselves ready for high ball attack. So they've got a 2 meter tall fullback, they've got a fullback playing on the wing, and they've got a 1.90 fullback, winger as well. So they are tailor-made for the high ball. They're tailor-made to attack the high ball, and Ireland are giving it to them. So I think for Ireland to improve here, they need to play territory, that's for sure. And they need to put the ball out. Stop keeping it in field. If you're gonna kick it back, look for touch and look to attack the line out. They haven't really looked to utilise the line out as a potential weapon here. So Johan asked, do you want to see Mr. Razor coaching the ABs after 2023? I do. I think he deserves a shot. Let's see how things go with Foster. I mean, if Foster's has a fantastic couple of years, then, I think there's an argument for him to stay in. A lot of people don't like Foster. I actually think he's made some good calls. Selections have been a bit poor. Teams looked a little bit flat, but you can see what he's trying to build, I guess. It's whether or not he can execute, and I think that's where a lot of people lose faith in them. So ultimately, Scott Robertson is an All Blacks coach in waiting. So it's coming. LB says that's why England have a 2 metre tall fullback as well. SA struggled with him last year. It's a good point from Ryan. Probably haven't made enough of the fact that this is a very inexperienced Irish team, particularly in key areas of the field, 9, 10, etc., and 15. So, I mean, that is essentially your spine, right, of the team. So, I thought that game management would slightly favour Ireland in this game, but we'd have to say it favours the Maori All Blacks. And, Ireland probably need to look at better game management in the second half. Now, what options do they have off the bench? Maybe they'll rotate and look at some changes, but I must say, just in pre sort of build up and interviews, I've been very impressed with Andy Farrell. I think he gets the mentality that's needed for these big series, these big tours, right? So he's spoken about there is nowhere to hide here, right? This is as tough as it gets. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the fragile. There are no excuses. And he's really tried to galvanise his team. I think, Ryan, you're right, though. We're seeing a little bit of inexperience in game management that's impacting Ireland in their ability to, win back territory and possession. So, that is going to get a mention, thanks Ryan, in my post-match review. Okay, what else can we say, I guess, at halftime at this point in time? Well, the commentators look pretty happy. They're all beaming smiles. Look, this is the first game, right? So this is a 5-game series, essentially, in New Zealand. A lot of the areas that we thought Ireland would win are being impacted by the weight of possession in favour of the Maori. And they're doing far more defence. And so Johan asks, do you like Dave Rainey as a coach? I do. He's got a great history, obviously, in New Zealand with the Chiefs. Led them to back-to-back titles, essentially. We talk about it in New Zealand, players and coaches who bring mana, and he's a person who really brings mana to any team that he coaches. So, he's a leader in a sense, and his actions, the way he speaks, the confidence that he gives, it really rubs off on other players, and that's essentially on his players, and that's essentially what mana is in the context of a rugby coach. I do like Dave Rennie. I think we're going to see a really improved performance from the Australians this year. They've been written off to a degree when it comes to the upcoming tour. Although I think most people have it 2-1 in favour of England. But Atawhai's happy. Yeah, they look good, man. They look solid. Boys are playing well. It's Sean Stevenson is just having a huge amount of success on the right wing. So something defensively there that the Irish need to fix up. He's got so many running meters in this game and just killing it on the right wing there. Johan asked, do you remember a New Zealand rugby YouTuber called Endgames? I do not, no. I don't actually follow a lot of rugby YouTube. There's a couple of people that I know who I follow. So I know the rugby analyst really well, that's Rich. I know Unbiased Rugby, that's Don. I know the Black Jersey, that's Max. like just a small sort of group of people that enjoy putting out our content, and we all get along pretty well and have a bit of banter between us, but all good guys. Johan says Wallabies will be very dangerous in this 3-test series. Dave Rennie, the big Teddy, will protect them. Agree. I think they will be very competitive. Yeah, so interesting points here by Albie and by Ryan about whether or not you throw. Do you start blooding players? Do you throw them to the wolves? So Andy Farrell's identified inexperience in the Irish camps at the top level, and when do you get an opportunity to put players in under the microscope? Like you kind of need these games to be able to do so. It's not quite a test, but it is top level, high pressure rugby. And Andy Farrell elected to bring an inexperienced squad to give them a run, and I think that's the right call. Because you have to start building depth in your squad. What it shows is that these players need a bit more exposure at high profile rugby. But it's only first half, so let's assess the game at the end. LB's excited about Tonga. I'm looking forward to that team as well. Charles Piatel, Israel Folau's back. I think it was a great change that they made to the eligibility rules. Is give players that want to play for their home nations an opportunity to do that. Because a lot of these guys have obviously made decisions to play for tier 1 teams. You vastly improve the state of international rugby if you allow them to play for other teams as well, for their home nations. I think the inclusion of Bundy Aki in this team, so probably one of the big surprises that looking at the Irish squad was the number of players that they selected. 40 seems like a low number when you've got 5 games across, essentially 3 weeks. It's I thought they would have picked 45 players. Because you get into scenarios where players have to back up. There's no other option. And I bet they weren't expecting to. I've lost my train of thought. So, yes, 40 players, not 45 or more. Players have to back up. Now they've put themselves in a position where they actually have to play players off the bench if they want to get themselves back into this game. If they do that, then you potentially compromise the test team, right? So where do you go with this? Do you just write this one up as a loss? We just move on? Or do you try and turn the game and win it by exposing, their experienced guys off the bench into this game? If they do that, they potentially impact their performance, in the later stages of this tour for the top team and potentially compromise the test series. So it's a really interesting decision that's going to have to be made here. I'd love to know what others think. Harmon kick came off the knee, should be knock on. I actually think the ref has not been great. A couple of calls I questioned, just thought a bit harsh. That one as well, probably a bit harsh not to call it. So I will acknowledge that there is, some favourable calls for the Maori, but I haven't seen him be inconsistent in his calls yet. So maybe he's just adjudicating it in a way that is, letting a few things go. Look, you have to play these. I think you have to expose them. The problem might be that there's too many of them in key positions in the spine, right? So you've got Joey Carberry on the bench. Maybe he was a better option at 10. Maybe you use Frawley in another position. Maybe outside. Maybe 12, I don't know. But 9, 10, very inexperienced. Morse Bass says 60 coming up. You got to remember there's a very experienced bench here for the Irish, so they could play them. The problem is that then it potentially impacts the top squad. Maori All Blacks assistant coach. Yeah, he's pretty happy. LB's right, traditional tours are tough. That's why you almost never win away on tour. I remember what it used to mean to win on tour. If anyone remembers the All Blacks' first victory in South Africa, it was huge. It was, I might be showing my age now, but it was massive. And then sort of tours dropped off a little bit. Now it's more away games than tours. All right, so they have made some changes here. Ken Healy's in. That looks like the only change. So is that enough? I think it's. Don't know if they're showing enough urgency here, the Irish. I think I would have looked at. Unfortunately, I might have looked at a change with bringing on Carberry. Poor kick there from the 9. That'll be considered a... Yeah, LB bringing 2 in its spine, 9, 10, 15. That's... Now that I reflect on it, that's a big call. And then to not really... you're 22 points down. Not to make the changes at halftime is a bit odd. Better clearance kick there from Craig Casey. Zahn Sullivan charged down the kick. Mundiaki charges down the kick, I should say. Ireland have the Maori in their own 22. And knock on Maori. Ireland have the ball inside the 22. Yeah, so to your point, LB, Joey Carberry would have been the person. Moore says you starve the All Blacks of the ball. That's how you beat them. When you get a chance to score, you take it, and you must defend for 100 minutes non-stop. That's right, and the problem now is that all of the possession stats are in favour of the Maori. And those possession stats are starting to play out in other areas of the game. It's starting to impact effort areas. Irish are slightly tired. The Maori are confident, playing at home, full of passion. But this is a good start from the Irish. And not thinking about a penalty, running it straight up the guts. 5 metres out now, attacking. And get the penalty. So Ireland, at worst, will get a penalty. At best, could get a try here. They're 5 metres out. This is perfect start to the second half for Ireland. Josh Dixon over the ball. Does not win the penalty. Ireland's still hot on attack through the forwards up the middle. Going to continue just rumbling it up. And penalty called, no advantage. 5 metres out, Ireland ball. What would you do from this point? I think look at an attack and scrum might be the way to go. Spread them out, open them up. They're just going to try and muscle over on the forwards. Quick tap. Maori showing they're quick off the line here. The penalty stats are starting to even up a little bit. So this is the opportunity the Irish need. They have to score here. And man is 1 metre short, less than a metre short. Hot on attack. Ireland just outside, 1 metre from the line. Get another penalty. So back to my comments earlier, it looks like Wayne Barnes is try. They're over the line. I think it's going to be a try. They've called it up. A Maori player is clapping, thinking it's held up. Looked like a try to me. Ken Healy. Does he look confident? No high fives. Okay, so no try. Playing the penalty advantage. Ireland ball again, just going to tap and run it. This is... Oh, and he's knocked it on. He's knocked it on. Māori are jumping for... They're happy. And now there's a little scuffle, but feisty. Yeah, those moments are huge in the context of games like this. It's get all the attack, and you attack, and you attack, and you attack, and then you give up an error. That's massive. And, you know, it's a poor error. And then I think it's frustration from the Irish player more than anything. He starts a little, gets feisty, starts pushing and shoving after knocking the ball on. But Māori are still in their own 5 metre line, so they've got to clear the ball. They've got to get out of trouble if they want to, you know, alleviate some of the pressure here. Notably, in the back there of the field, you had the reserves all warming up. So I think there could be something there. Oh, Morse asks a controversial question. Who's the biggest benefited from Joe coming in to the ABs through the back door? I personally think a lot has been made about that, but I don't think it is a huge factor. I think that ultimately Foster spoke about maintaining control of the team and doing so remotely. That Joe was coming in purely to facilitate some of the training sessions on Tuesday and Thursday. Obviously, he's bringing his ideas, but he did say that he would try and limit any impact in this series and with the All Blacks until after the Test series. I ultimately think he's a man of his word in that respect. And I don't see anything that I wasn't expecting the All Blacks or the Māori All Blacks to do. So I don't know if there's any sort of silver bullet right now. So, Ryan, I feel like, oh, is that held up or is that a try? Great debate from Ryan and LB. I think the telling factor here is that 19 and 15 being all inexperienced together is probably part of the issue that the Irish had in the first half. That really they should have looked for, you know, a potential starting or bench player who might be able to come and sort of right the ship in a key area. So, I mean, you got Joey Carberry on the bench, so is it time to introduce Joey Carberry? I think you'll get a little bit more game management. Should he have done that in the first half? Camera panning to Andy Farrell, who is just looking into space. I really like Andy Farrell, by the way. I think his mentality and approach in this game has been great. Sorry, in this series so far, has been spot on. You know, he's really challenged his players. Unfortunately, you know, the weight of possession is kind of telling in this game. So Ireland's still continuing to attack. Looks like... No, didn't manage to get the ball over there. Josh Dixon's having a great game. I don't know if others have noticed, but playing lock, he managed to steal a line out and has been really physical at the breakdown. Cam Prendergast, international debut tonight at 6. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing him in action. Possession stats have got to have evened up now overall for the game. Let's have a look. Match stats, attack. All right, Rugby League 22, 20 metre, restart. So possession stats have come back almost 50-50. We'll just pan across to share. So this is where we're at. I don't have territory stats here, so let's get back to the game. High ball. Looks like an attacking kick from inside your own 22. Interesting choice from Sullivan. Look for territory there. All right, so this is the Ireland we expected, right? So a bit more free-flowing, ball in hand, obviously well-drilled, finding gaps, and spreading the ball wide. Get it out to the winger who's unmarked, but gets eaten up by the defence, the cover defence. Ireland hot on attack here. Could be telling if they... Yep, looks like a try. Oh, is he short? Hard to know. That looks like a try to me. Very hard to tell. There's been a lot of extremely close calls here. Ireland hot on attack. I'm just going to make a note here for my game notes. Half short number of times from tries. Cool. So just looking at the replay, yeah, he's short. He's short. He's centimetres short as well. So again, you have to say great defense from the Maori. More space says, well, Haka, what's wrong with Brody? What's his name and cleaned him out in 2019. I don't know if I'd identify that as the issue. He did have some injuries. Played in Japan for a bit. I personally think he isn't our first choice. Now at lock, I'd give the nod to Scott Barrett, particularly from that final. Pia Prasad, who's going to win on Saturday and by how much? I'm going to save my prediction. What I will say is I don't think this is anything to go on, right? Whatever the result in this game, I don't think it's anything to go on in predicting Saturday's match. A lot of people will look at this, if the Maori do kick on and win this, and suggest that Ireland's in big trouble this whole series. The All Blacks are dealing with issues right now. And I still am not convinced until I see the team sheets that we can actually... until I see the team sheets, I won't know where the areas of vulnerability are. Sam Cane starting, right? There's one. David Havili out. That's another. Will Jordan, probably the best player in Super Rugby this year. There's another. These aren't excuses. They just change the makeup and the abilities of the All Blacks. So, in my mind, there are very specific areas that the All Blacks need to focus on to beat Ireland. And with those three players out in particular, I think they lose some of that ability a little bit. Not all the way, but they do lose some of that ability. Albie's right that the Māori only get a week. You never know what you're going to get. But these guys have got something bigger to play for, right? So we spoke about the impact of passion on this game, and I think that has really G'd them up in the early parts. And then it's purely possession and lopsided defence that's resulted in success in other effort areas. More space says ABs will win by 18 points at least. Second test 15 points. And last 20 points. I see it as closer than that, to be honest. Looks like Jordan Lama's down. No, Hume. James Hume. For the Irish, so... I've gotten away a little bit from the commentary, so maybe I'll get back to just Speaking about what I see here. Okay, so Tyrell Lomax, tackle on James Hume. It does look like head contact. I expect they will... Oh, no. No, there's no head contact there. Sorry, jumped the gun there. So there shouldn't be any issues. It looks like a leg injury. Here's another issue with tours, right? You start to get injuries, head-high knocks. There's a leg issue there, and Hume does not look happy at all. You know, carrying a 40-man squad, all of a sudden you're down to 38 after the first game, potentially. That's tough, right? Tours are tough. They're meant to be tough. TJ Perenara is on. Congratulations. Makes his Maori All Blacks debut. Well done to him. LB says, I think the test will be one score difference. I think they're going to be close. You just can't... You cannot use this form to predict how the tests are going to go at all. You know, like you guys have been pointing out very well, 9, 10, 15 key game management roles, all inexperienced on test debut. So, and we're seeing a couple of players in the forward pack as well, sort of newish to the test arena, that might be a little bit surprised about the increased physicality. Yeah, Hume looks done. He's limping off, needing to be assisted. He might be done for the tour, which is a real shame for him in game one. And, you know, a shame for the Irish overall because they, as we mentioned, they're carrying a very light squad in terms of 40, you know, only 40 players. You have to have players backing up when you've got a 40-man squad, you know, in games, you know, 3 weeks of games, of 5 games. Maori kick to the outside, Garden Bishop chip over the top. Ireland able to recover, get the ball back quickly. Ireland now attacking on their own, inside Maori territory. Oh, and turnover one at the breakdown. Isaiah Walker-Leawere wins the turnover. Now it's a ping-pong kicking battle. Ball goes wide. Oh, we got Bailey Sullivan on. Yep. No, they didn't replace Zahn Sullivan, so that's good. Maori playing with a lot of confidence now with ball in hand. They're now inside the Irish 40, spreading it wide. Poi Hippie has played well today. Good physical tackle there from the Irish, halting Maori progress. Playing tight inside with the forwards here. Okay, attacking the breakdown. Unlucky not to win the turnover there for Ireland. Backdoor play. Finds the open man. It's Kurt Eklund. Kurt Eklund goes to ground. There is a slight delay, obviously, on my commentary, guys. I think it's 30 seconds or a minute. Maori lose the ball. Wayne Barnes doesn't call it. Yeah, that was knock on. He does call it. Doesn't call it on first pass, calls it on second. Tyrell Lomax with another error. I think this is part of the reason he did not make the All Blacks, unfortunately, is number of errors. I certainly thought this game would be closer in scoreline at this stage. All right, Ireland now ringing the changes. So who do we have coming on? It's now the 50-minute mark. Okay, Locke and Hooker. Scannell is on for Heffernan. Beard is on for Treadwell. I think it's a French referee on Saturday to more space. All right, new man on for the scrum. Let's see if that has any impact. Keith Earls looking for the ball. We haven't seen much of Keith Earls, and there wasn't a lot of attacking opportunities for the backline. And when they did get the attacking opportunities, they tended to keep it close in the forwards. Kicking the ball away. So that's probably a good result for the Irish. They kick into space. Zahn Sullivan's having a great game. If this finishes with a win, I put Marco's happy. Taiaha Patu Diha. Zahn Sullivan with a great clearance kick there. Oh, I think Tamaiti Williams is on. That's my guy. Lomax off Noah Ainsley. Okay, Ireland win the line out and are attacking on the Maori 22. Let's see. Short side. No room there. Ireland have the ball 30 metres out. Moore says ABs, England, box, Scots. I think Argentina could beat the Scots. I must admit I haven't had a good look at that series, but... So knock-on called in favour of Māori All Blacks. So more errors, unfortunately, from Ireland. I think I'm going to give this another 5-10 minutes, guys. If we don't see any drastic improvements in the score, then I'm going to call it early and end the stream, just FYI. Ryan says the ref is English. Current ref is English, Wayne Barnes, but I think Saturday's ref is French. I think that's what LB is referring to. Kicks in play. Kicking meters, advantage Māori. Just looking at some of the stats they bring up here on screen. Wayne Barnes, believe me, Kiwi fans know Wayne Barnes well. He's been blamed for many a loss over the years. I shouldn't say many a loss, just a couple of notable ones. Look, I found the ref today to be consistently poor, is how I'd describe it. So I think in the first half, Māori certainly got an advantage from his poor decisions. There was a couple I just thought harsh calls. And then start of the second half, he reversed that. So harsh calls against the Māori in favour of Ireland. I think he's been too lenient. Let a few things go. Not pulling up knock-ons. You know, breakdown penalties, not rolling away. It's sort of limiting the effectiveness of both teams to be dominant at the breakdown. Do Kiwis prefer Wayne Barnes or Nigel Owens? Everyone prefers Nigel Owens, surely. Is there anyone who prefers Wayne Barnes in the chat? Nigel Owens was a character as well. I like Nigel Owens. I also think, I actually think Nigel, I'll have to look at the stats, but I think Nigel Owens, All Blacks have one of the best win rates under Nigel Owens refereed games. So I think most players, most All Blacks fans, most New Zealand fans would say, give me Nigel Owens any day. Alright, Maori All Blacks attacking on halfway. It's still no change in score, and we're 16 minutes into the second half. LB likes Barnes. Alright, we've got Billy Harmon in the wing. Maori looking dangerous here. Maori looking very dangerous. So, get the ball out wide. Oh, good ball there, Zant. Sorry, Bailey Sullivan got the ball. Oh, TJ drops it. Oh, they call that a knock-on. Look back to me, but... So LB likes Wayne Barnes. Morse Bass says Wayne Barnes the most overrated ref in the whole wide world. I'm sure somewhere there's a more overrated ref. Luke Pearce is a great ref. Is he involved in the tour? I don't think so. And then Andre Watson. All right. Oh, Marco got me in the feels with that one. Like that. Paul Brown, welcome. Welcome to New Zealand. Welcome to the chat. Paul says, hello all. Hoping for maybe one test win on this tour, but not expecting it. Really hoping to build depth at 10. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, we identified that, Paul, as a real issue for the Irish in this game. I think game management and having inexperienced 9, 10, and 15 in particular, I think that has been, a decision Andy Farrell might want to retake. We haven't seen Joey Carberry enter this game yet as well, so maybe he's committed to giving these young guys a run, in the high pressure test environment that is New Zealand rugby. So they'll be better for this experience, but I just think their inexperience definitely told in this one. And those are pivotal positions. LB and Ryan spoke at length about that as a potential issue in the chat, and rightfully so. He looked out to me, buddy, but no, play on. Zahn Sullivan, good hit on defense, man. He's having a great game. So this is another turnover. So Ireland kicked the ball away. Maori turn it over, break the first couple of tackles and get front foot ball. So and penalty for Maori. More space, 60 still on. So Paul Brown, back to the depth at 10 thing. Yeah, it was just inexperience of 9, 10, 15 all at the same time really impacted game management for Ireland. Especially when you're dealing with possession issues. First half was dominated possession by the Maori. And there was a couple of really lazy kicks that led to turnover ball and therefore attacking, strong attack from the Maori. So, and even a couple of tries. So I think... Is he giving this game away, or he's just treating it as a experience game? Because I would have thought it's time to roll out Carberry, Connor Murray, like these are experienced guys. I would think it's time to roll them out. That's a big surprise for me, actually, that they haven't rolled out more experienced players to try and keep in this game. Oh, he looks like a lonely place for Andy Farrell here. Look, the thing about these tours is you are going to be asked questions, across your squad, across your team, and across individual players. And it looks like a change is finally being made. It looks like Joey Carberry's coming on at 20. Yeah, so you're going to be asked questions constantly. I think there is a potential issue looming, although Ireland haven't rolled the changes, which is good. Because the danger is that you start rolling changes too early. You're only carrying a 40-man squad. You've now lost 2 players, so you're down to 38. You have to have players backing up for tests. If they expend too much in this game, then it impacts your test squad. Maori win the line out. Going blindside raid. Kurt Eklund easily taken out. Sorry, keeps the ball in play, but easily defended. Isaiah Walker-Leawere hard into contact. Another knock on Josh Dixon. Yeah, I think you're right, LB. Doesn't want to risk more injuries. Letting the game go. Thinking of this in terms of a 5-game series. I'm going to call this, guys. I reckon 60 minutes. I haven't seen enough in terms of changes and wrestling the game back to suggest... Look, anything can happen in the last 20 minutes, but I think I'm going to call the stream here. Who's coming off? Josh Dixon's coming off. So it'll be Selby Ricketts coming on. And I reckon Tamaiti Williams is coming. I might just give it 5 minutes with Tamaiti Williams on. He's one of my favourite players at the moment. There's a 145 kg prop. Tamaiti Williams. LB's right. I don't think he wants to risk more injuries. Willing to let this one go. But what's interesting is he's willing to let the game go. 50-minute mark. Sort of... I don't think... Without making changes around 50, 55 minutes, you're almost conceding the game at that point. So that's just an interesting... Carberry puts it out on the full. Yep, so Carberry puts the ball out on the full. Any other comments here? I mean, with 62 minutes, Maori up by 22. There's been no change since half time. Win another line out. I've actually been really impressed by the Maori line out. They've been able to win some, and they've been solid in their line outs. Oh, double knock on. Ireland ball. Yeah, it's getting a bit scrappy now. So, and it has been somewhat scrappy actually throughout this game. Maori backline move. All right, I'm going to summarise this. So I think early on, the Irish were showing their strengths in a number of key set piece areas, as well as at the breakdown. Maori kept in it. We're obviously looking to play physical and keep it feisty. So there was a couple of, a bit of pushing and shoving and stuff. So really playing with intent. Maori were able to dominate possession in the first half. Ireland, when they did have ball in hand, looked really effective. Obviously well drilled. We know that about the Irish teams. And when they were able to keep the ball, they were able to do well. But possession stats were, hugely in favour of the Maori. And as a result of that, Ireland tackled a heck of a lot more. Almost 5-1, 6-1 in terms of tackle differences. That led to that, and Maori getting confidence led to them winning a number of effort areas. So able to turn the scrums, line-outs, contact, breakdown. These are effort areas that if you have a weight of possession and you're asking a defense to do more tackling, that you actually end up doing a lot better. And so I think that was the telling of it. An experienced team might have been able to wrestle things back in their favour, but we identified that 9, 10 and 15, inexperience for the Irish, and inability to game manage and bring them back into this game through territory and through the kicking. They threw up some ineffective kicks and counter-attacked by the Māori, who have a clear plan here in terms of their selections to attack the high ball and defend the high ball. With all of that said, my man of the match for this one is Zahn Sullivan, the fullback. Great 50-22 kick, got a reward with a try from that, has been strong in defence, and has continued to attack really well. Another error from the Irish at this point. So real continuity issues, potentially confidence issues now as well. What I will say though is this result does not predict the outcome of Saturday. Two different teams, both the All Blacks and the Maori All Blacks, two different teams. You know, a lot of Kiwi fans don't have huge, let's say, confidence in Foster's selection, so that could be a challenge. Then you've got the Irish team that have vast experience at top club level and obviously have had huge experience in the last couple of years and a success last couple of years at the top level, Six Nations against the All Blacks with, you know, significant number of wins. So all of that to say, I think the match on Saturday is going to be significantly different. And once we hear the team sheets, then I will be previewing that match and where I see the sort of strengths and the weaknesses. But you can't predict what's going to happen based on this alone. So expect that to be competitive. I certainly do. Ireland do have an attacking opportunity here. 5 metres from the line, and they've got the penalty. I'm going to have to stay absorbed to this for a bit longer. Ball's held up. Ref gives penalty. Hands on hips from a number of Māori players. So I'd like to see second half stats actually on possession. Just need to adjust my screen here. 1 second. Try awarded. So 13 minutes to go. Ireland hit back. It's now 32-15. So if they can get another one, they're right back in this. Gavin Combs. I mean, they deserved one there. They've been attacking a lot in this half. Right up the middle. Off the tap. All right, they're about to go 32-17 here. Yep, 32-17. Looks like I'm staying put for a little bit longer here. What do you guys think? 12 minutes to go. Can Ireland make a comeback here? Down by 15, so greater than 2 tries. If you're leaving yourself more than 2 tries going into the last 10, that's often a bridge too far. Caelan Doris, I can see that they've got the camera on the Irish team, and I can see Caelan Doris here. He's one player I'm really looking forward to. Gibson Park, another one. All right, so changes. Kurt Eklund comes off. Josh Ioane comes off. Ruben Love will be on that means. Great young player, Ruben Love. So it'll be good to see him get some action here. Yeah, LB's right. The sad faces on the Irish bench. It's, mate, it's a lonely place on tour. It should be too. It should be hard. Zahn Sullivan comes off. Ruben Love comes on. You know, tours should be hard. They should really test you. All right, Ireland got the ball and attacking well. Get the ball out to the wing. Jordan Lama's still on by the looks of it. See, when Ireland keeps the ball in hand, they're just very well drilled. You know, they just roll through the phases, get quick ball, work from side to side, you know, using the full length of the field, and then give away an error, unfortunately, there. So they were doing great in attack and then unfortunately gave away the error. So knock on, Maori ball. One thing we need to remember for a couple of future matches here is that Ireland are currently up 7-0 in the second half. Maori haven't scored a point yet. Haven't had a huge amount of possession either. Let's see what the current possession stats are. They might be in favour of Ireland. They are. So Ireland now have a lot more of the possession. Sorry, not a lot more. They have more possession. Ryan says Coombs is a big player for Ireland's future. Yep, that's right, Ryan. Mistakes. It's I've been very impressed when they do have ball in hand. They've got really good continuity, and we know this about Irish teams. They're all well drilled. Oh, this is a bad issue. Cian Healy's down. Hopefully he's okay. This would be a disaster for, who is a really, really experienced player. Okay, he takes a... Oh, okay, so he falls to the ground and 145 kg monster lands on top of him. The point of impact being the elbow directly into the chest. It looks like he was huffing and puffing there a bit as well, which is a concern, but he's breathing through it. Okay, they're calling it. They're going to take him off. So it looks like we'll move to... Oh, it's a knee injury. It's the knee that's got him. He's gone for the series, I would say. That's a real shame. So 2 major casualties in this one. Look, I don't read too much into Oh, good to know, Ryan, that BLM can play both sides. It is starting to look like big concerns with injuries now. Like I don't read too much into these results for the test matches, but when you have to start to see players fall down injured, that's a concern for the test matches. Especially Cian Healy was going to factor into that game. There's also just a psychological impact of, coming away battered and bruised in game one. You're right, Ireland do need Healy. All right, scrum here. Interesting. Zane Sullivan fakes the kick, puts the ball into Connor. Connor Bashop's had a great game. Sorry, Garden Bashop's had a great game as well. Okay, Maori have the ball in the inside Irish yardage. Good run there from Tamaiti Williams. Turnover ball at the breakdown, is it? Still a contest? No, knock on called. So really good. Yeah, this is, what are we now, 70 minutes, 2 tries, more than 2 tries away. It's almost worth calling in terms of the results. Ireland have lost 2 players to injury in this game. TJ Perenara has been off his game in the second half. Maori scrum. Okay, reverse play. They went right. Now they've gone left. Quick ball. Good ball from Ruben Love. Garden Basher makes 30 metres, 20 metres. Sloppy work at the breakdown. Okay, Tamaiti Williams, another big run. Oh, inside ball, round the back from TJ Perenara. It's razzle dazzle. Come on, mate, you're not supporting your weight there. Maori just attacking relentlessly here. And they get the penalty from Wayne Barnes. Yeah, Ryan, and that can be a big... you're mentioning about a couple of players that are specialist scrummages, maybe not so mobile around the park, but I think those are areas you really want to come away from and dominate in the next Maori game. Is you really need... I think Ireland need to dominate the set piece. They need to limit the errors. Better game management. Maori taking the 3. So you're up 15 and you want to go up 18. Okay. More than 2 tries. I suppose you're reading up the clock, so that's not too bad. Ruben Love steps up to take the kick. Yeah, injuries pre-tour as well, Ryan. So you really got some challenges there in terms of personnel. Misses the penalty. Ruben Love. Now Ireland attacking. Huge defence in the midfield on Frawley. 2 players jamming. And they win the penalty. That's effort, boys. That's an effort area there. TJ's pumped. High fives all around. So, do-over for the penalty. Yeah, Frawley got jammed in on there. Well, he ran into Tamaiti Williams, the biggest man on the field, so... They've called that knock on by the looks of it. So Maori ball attacking scrum. 5 metres out. 10 metres out. Yeah, LB, I completely agree. It's a real area of concern, our scrum, especially when you see what the Crusaders did to the Blue scrum, which is, 3/4 of this of the All Blacks props. Oh, quick move, drop goal attempt, missed from Ruben Love, but good intent. That's a real area of concern for me, is the scrum for the All Blacks. Restart Ireland regain. They have the ball, they're attacking. Alright guys, I'm going to call it here. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat. This is quite a fun format, so I'm going to be covering all of these games. Ryan, appreciate you stopping by. LB, everyone else, thanks for stopping in. Great perspective at it as well, just generally in terms of some of the challenges, so appreciate you guys' comments. And Yeah, I'll be back here on Saturday, so let's look forward to that. I don't think this result really has any bearing on that game at this point. I just think they're going to be independent games, obviously as part of a wider series. So can look forward to that being quite a good contest still. With that said, guys, thanks everyone for joining in. I'll be recapping the game. Most of the points for those that have stayed by, I think you'll be aware of where I'm sort of going with my post-match review here. My man of the match is Zahn Sullivan from fullback. Love to hear what others think on that. I think he, in terms of that first half, he was a big difference. His ability to game break, and then you've got Connor Gunn and Brett Bashop, and the two wings as well had fantastic games and really good runner meters. So enjoy the rest of the tour, guys. 5 games. It's still a historic tour. First up, road bump for the Irish, but there's a lot more rugby here to be played.